The night Mira Han saved a silent little girl from Seoul's deadly flood, she thought she was just being human. She had no idea she was stepping into the crosshairs of Korea's most feared mafia boss, or that the child clinging to her sleeve was his daughter. What started as a rescue in the rain would become a deadly game of protection and passion, where love means putting a target on your back and trust could get you killed. Because when you save the daughter of Kang Jun-seo, you don't just gain his gratitude, you inherit his enemies. And Park Jin-tae, the rival who murdered Jun-seo's wife, has been waiting 3 long years for the perfect revenge. Now he's found it, in the form of an ordinary waitress who dared to care. Subscribe and comment below if you've ever had to choose between love and survival, because this story is about to show you what happens when you can't have both. The night rain hammered the diner's windows with fists of water. Mira Han balanced the register drawer against her hip and checked her phone. 11:47. Grandmother's dialysis appointment was at 8 in the morning. She wiped down the last table and flipped the chairs. The storm had driven away the late crowd hours ago. Only the neon sign buzzed in the empty street, painting red streaks across the flood. Thunder cracked overhead. Mira felt tired in her bones. She pulled on her jacket and grabbed the keys from behind the register. The back alley always flooded first during monsoons. She needed to check the rear door before the water reached the electrical panel. The rain soaked through her jacket in seconds. Cold water filled her shoes as she waded toward the alley. The streetlight flickered once and died. A small figure stood across the flooded street. Mira's chest tightened. The figure was child-sized and perfectly still. Water rushed around its legs in brown currents. "Hey," she called. "Are you okay?" The figure turned its head. A soft humming drifted across the storm. Not words, just a steady minor melody that made Mira's skin crawl. "Can you hear me?" Mira stepped into the street. The humming continued. The child swayed slightly. A surge of water rushed down from the hill. The small figure stumbled toward the storm drain. Mira dropped her keys and plunged into the current. Her phone slipped from her pocket and vanished into the dark water. She grabbed a tiny wrist just as the child's feet left the pavement. The girl was maybe 7 years old. Her lips were blue. Her dark eyes were huge and empty. Mira hauled her toward the alley's higher step, both of them shivering under the broken streetlight. The girl still hummed that same eerie tune. "What's your name?" Mira asked. The girl pressed closer but didn't speak. Footsteps splashed nearby. 2 men moved through the flood with flashlights. Their beams swept left and right. Mira pulled the girl behind her back. Fear crawled up her spine. A black SUV fishtailed around the process corner. Water sprayed from its wheels. The vehicle stopped 10 feet away, and a man stepped out. He was tall and perfectly composed despite the storm. His dark suit was expensive. His face was calm in a way that made Mira's hands shake. "Ara," he called softly. The girl broke from Mira's grip and ran toward him. Then she stopped halfway and grabbed Mira's sleeve instead. The man's eyes found Mira's across the flooded street. Something cold moved through his expression. "Who are you?" Mira asked. He walked closer. His shoes didn't splash in the water. He moved like gravity bent around him. "My name is Kang Jun-seo," he said. His voice was quiet and exact. "Thank you for protecting my daughter." Daughter. Mira felt relief and new fear at the same time. Jun-seo knelt beside the girl. His hands checked her pulse with surgical precision. They trembled once and then went still. "Ara," he whispered, "you're safe now." The girl looked between him and Mira. Her small hand stayed fisted in Mira's wet sleeve. Another man emerged from the SUV, broad shoulders and scarred knuckles. He gestured to positions around the alley without speaking. "Who were those men with flashlights?" Mira asked. Jun-seo's jaw tightened. "People who shouldn't have been here." A red laser dot skated across the SUV's door. It lingered for 2 seconds and disappeared. Jun-seo lifted Ara into his arms. He wrapped his jacket around her small body. "Both of you need medical attention," he said to Mira. "Please come with us. I don't even know you. You kept my daughter alive." His eyes held hers. "That makes you important." A distant window exploded into spider cracks. Mira's breath caught. The scarred man was already moving toward the sound with his hand inside his jacket. "Get in the car," Jun-seo said. It wasn't a request. The SUV's interior was warm and dark. Mira slid into the back seat and pulled Ara onto her lap. The girl's fingers were ice cold. "What's your name?" the scarred man asked, from the front seat. "I never told you my name. Mira Han, 28 years old, works at Kim's all-night diner. Lives with her grandmother in apartment 3B on Riverside Street." Mira felt her stomach drop. "How do you know that?" "I know everything that happens in this neighborhood," Junseo said. The car lurched forward as something pinged off the rear quarter panel. "Metal on metal. They're shooting at us," Mira said. "They're shooting at me," Junseo said. "You're just in the way." Ara's humming started again. Soft and frightened. "Don't take her hands off mine," Mira said. The convoy climbed into the hills as rain battered the windows. Mira watched the city lights shrink below them. Ara's breathing slowly warmed against her chest. They passed through a gate that opened without stopping. The house beyond was all glass and steel and money. Security cameras tracked their approach. A woman in a grey dress waited under the covered entrance. Her hair was silver, and her posture was military straight. "This is Madame Seo," Junseo said as they stepped from the car. "She manages the house." Madame Seo's eyes evaluated Mira from head to foot. "The guest room is prepared." "I'm not staying," Mira said. "I just want to make sure she's okay." Two men in medical scrubs appeared with a wheelchair. Ara shook her head and reached for Mira. "At dawn," Junseo said. "The roads will be safer then. I have to work tomorrow. My grandmother has a medical appointment. Your grandmother will be taken care of." Mira's voice was sharp. "I didn't ask you to take care of my grandmother." Something shifted in Junseo's expression. "I'm not asking your permission." The medical team checked Ara's vitals in a bedroom that cost more than Mira made in a year. The girl refused to let go of Mira's sleeve. "She's hypothermic, but stable," one of the medics said. "She needs warmth and rest." Ara curled against Mira's side on the enormous bed. Her humming faded to a whisper. "Can you tell me what happened tonight?" Mira asked her. The girl's dark eyes stayed fixed on Mira's face. She pressed one small finger to Mira's palm and traced invisible letters. "Stay. I'll stay until morning," Mira whispered. Ara smiled for the first time. It was like sunrise breaking through clouds. The bedroom lamp clicked off. Rain softened against the windows. Ara's breathing deepened into sleep. Mira lay awake and listened to footsteps in the hallway outside. Morning came grey and wet. The storm had passed, but the rain continued. Mira checked her phone and realized it was still at the bottom of the flooded street. News murmured from a television somewhere in the house. Words like rival tensions and increased security drifted through the walls. Ara sat up and stretched. Her color was better. "Good morning," Mira said. The girl smiled and pointed to the window. 3 black cars sat in the circular drive below. Junseo appeared in the doorway with coffee and toast. He'd changed into jeans and a sweater. Without the expensive suit, he looked younger. "How do you feel?" he asked Ara. She nodded and took a piece of toast. "I need to leave," Mira said. "I have to get to work and then take my grandmother to dialysis." The scarred man from the night before stepped into the room. "Minho," he said, by way of introduction. "There's movement near the river roads," Minho said to Junseo. 2 cars with clean plates." Junseo's jaw tightened. "How close to the diner?" 6 blocks. "I can take care of myself," Mira said. "Can you?" Junseo's voice was flat. "They know who you are now. They know you helped Ara." "Who is they?" "People who want to hurt my family." Mira stood up. Ara grabbed her hand. "I'll arrange a car and driver," Junseo said. "I don't accept help from men who keep fences. The fences keep dangerous people out. Or they keep prisoners in." Something cold flickered in his eyes. "You're not a prisoner. Then I can leave." "Yes." Mira walked toward the bedroom door. Ara's hand slipped from hers. A security camera's red light blinked to life in the hallway corner. The sound was soft, but unmistakable. Mira stopped walking. "What was that?" she asked. Minho's hand moved inside his jacket. "Motion sensor." "For what?" "Perimeter breach." The car ride down the mountain was tense and silent. Mira sat in the back seat between 2 guards. The driver's eyes never left the mirrors. They stopped at a gate checkpoint halfway down. Minho got out and walked the perimeter with 2 other men. "What are they looking for?" Mira asked. "Proof," the driver said. Minho returned with mud on his shoes. "Footprints by the east fence, child-sized." Mira's chest tightened. Someone was watching the house? Someone was watching Ara's bedroom window. The convoy turned around without discussion. Back at the house, Mira went straight to Ara's room. The girl was playing with crayons at a small table by the window. "Are you okay?" Mira asked. Ara nodded and held up a drawing. 3 stick figures holding hands. The middle figure had long, dark hair. "Is that me?" Mira pointed to the middle figure. Ara pressed the drawing into Mira's hands and smiled. Junseo appeared in the doorway. His face was carved from stone. "Tell me about your wife," Mira said. The question hit him like a physical blow. His composure cracked for just a moment. "Why would you ask that?" "Because Ara stopped talking. And because someone murdered her mother. The police called it an accident. But you didn't." He was quiet for a long time. Rain drummed against the windows. "Her brakes were cut," he said finally, "on a night just like this one. She was driving home from Ara's piano lesson. What was the message? That no one I love is safe." Mira felt anger and pity war in her chest. "So you built a fortress. I built protection. You built a prison. Protection and prison feel the same from the inside." His honesty surprised her. Vulnerability looked strange on his face. "I'll stay one more day," Mira said, "until the road's clear. Thank you." He turned to leave and stopped. On his desk sat a framed photo of a beautiful woman with Ara's eyes. The glass was cracked down the middle. Junseo picked up the frame and placed it face down in the drawer. Thunder rolled across the hills. Ara hummed softly and added yellow crayon to the sun above the 3 figures. Outside, security cameras swept the grounds in slow mechanical arcs. The red lights blinked, steady as heartbeats. The afternoon stretched long and quiet. Minho made phone calls in rapid Korean. Madame Seo brought tea and sandwiches without being asked. Ara drew more pictures, always 3 figures, always holding hands. "Tell me about the people who want to hurt your family," Mira said to Junseo. "They call themselves the Iron Wolves. Their leader is named Park Jin-tae. What does he want? Territory, respect, my head on a plate. In that order, in reverse order." By late afternoon, the sky was black again. Rain hammered the windows with renewed fury. Minho appeared in the doorway. His face was grim. "Van near the grandmother's building," he said. "Clean plates. Been there 3 hours." Mira's blood went cold. "They're watching my grandmother?" "Insurance policy," Junseo said. "If they can't get to you directly. I have to go to her." "Absolutely not. She's 81 years old." "She has nothing to do with this." "She has everything to do with this now." Mira stood up. Ara grabbed her hand. "The risk is unacceptable tonight," Junseo said. "Unacceptable to who?" "To me." The lights flickered once, then the power died completely. Emergency lighting bathed the hallway in red. Steel shutters descended over every window with hydraulic hisses. "Lockdown protocol," Minho said into his radio. "All positions." The safe room door was 6 inches of reinforced steel. It sealed with an electronic lock that engaged automatically during power failures. Mira and Ara were locked inside before they could protest. The room was silent except for the hum of battery-powered air circulation. Ara curled against Mira's side and began humming her wordless tune. "Stay," she whispered, her first word in weeks. Static crackled from a wall speaker. "Status report," Junseo's voice said. "2 subjects secured," Minho answered. "Perimeter teams in position. How long until power restoration?" "Unknown." Generator kicked in, but something cut the main line. Mira felt trapped and helpless. "What's happening out there?" "Standard security protocol." Junseo's voice was carefully controlled. "Nothing to worry about." But she could hear the cracks in his composure. Fear leaked through like water through stone. "Is Ara warm enough?" he asked. The question was for his daughter, but the need in his voice was for himself. "She's fine," Mira said. "We're both fine." "Good. That's good." The comm went quiet. Ara's humming filled the silence. "I won't leave before morning," Mira whispered to the girl. "I promise." Ara smiled and closed her eyes. Her breathing deepened into sleep. Hours passed. The power returned with a mechanical hum. The steel shutters retracted and moonlight filled the windows. The safe room door opened with a soft hiss. Breakfast was laid out in the dining room as if nothing had happened. Fresh flowers, hot coffee, warm bread. Junseo sat at the head of the table reading a newspaper. His hands were steady, but Mira saw the tension in his shoulders. "Sleep well?" he asked without looking up. "You know we didn't. The perimeter is secure. Whatever triggered the lockdown is gone. What triggered it? Unknown. Possibly an animal. Mira felt anger rise in her throat. Don't lie to me. I'm protecting you from unnecessary worry. I'm worried anyway. The truth would be better. Something shifted in his expression. The truth is that 3 men tried to breach the East Gate last night. The truth is that they had military-grade equipment. The truth is that they came specifically for you. Ara stopped eating and looked between them. How do you know they came for me? They left a message. He handed her a note written in block letters. We want the woman. Mira's breath caught. Why? Because you matter to Ara, and Ara matters to me. So I'm bait. Your leverage. The distinction felt meaningless. Fear crawled up her spine. I can't stay here forever. You can stay here as long as necessary. That's not your decision to make, isn't it? His voice was quiet, but absolute. The voice of a man accustomed to being obeyed. Mira stood up from the table. Ara reached for her hand. Protection without consent is kidnapping, Mira said. Consent without protection is suicide. My life, my choice. Not anymore. The words hung between them sharp and final. Ara's eyes moved from Mira to her father and back again. The little girl picked up her latest drawing and placed it on the table between them. 3 figures holding hands under a bright sun. She tapped the middle figure and then tapped both Mira's hand and her father's hand. The message was clear. Stay together. Junseo's expression softened. 1 week, he said to Mira. Give me 1 week to end this. And then? Then you're free to choose. Mira looked at Ara's hopeful face, at the drawing with its careful stick figures, at the man whose fear had made him into a fortress. 1 week, she said. Outside, rain began to fall again. But for the first time since the storm began, the clouds looked ready to break. Minho walked Mira through the house's security routes on the 3rd morning. Each hallway had cameras and silent alarms. Each room had multiple exits. Emergency positions, he explained, pointing to reinforced corners. If shooting starts, get behind these walls. How often does shooting start? Often enough. The staff moved with military precision. Gardeners who carried radios. Housekeepers who checked sightlines while they cleaned. Everyone was armed, but no one looked nervous. How long have you worked for him? Mira asked. 12 years, since we were both young and stupid. And now? Now we're older and stupid. Minho's smile was brief but genuine. He respected Junseo in the way soldiers respect good commanders. Madame Sayo appeared with a tray of tea and small tasks. Ara needs consistency, she said to Mira. Bath at 7, story at 8. Lights out by 9. I'm not her nanny. No, you're something more important. What's that? Someone she chose. The words hit deeper than Mira expected. Ara had chosen her from a flooded street full of strangers. The responsibility felt enormous. Her mother used to sing lullabies, Madame Seo said. Korean folk songs about birds and mountains. Ara loved them. I don't know Korean lullabies. You don't need to know them. You need to try. That evening, Ara brought a book to the living room. Korean text with pictures of animals. She climbed onto Mira's lap and pointed to the first page. I can't read Korean, Mira said. Ara looked disappointed. Junseo appeared in the doorway. He'd been keeping distance for days, watching from corners and speaking only when necessary. May I? He asked. Ara nodded and scooted to make room between them on the couch. Junseo read the story in Korean first. His voice was deep and careful. Then he translated each page into English while Ara followed along. It was a story about a little rabbit who got lost in the forest. A wolf found her and brought her home safely. The rabbit learned that some scary things were actually protectors in disguise. Ara hummed softly during the wolf parts. Again, she whispered when the story ended. Junseo read it again. His voice caught slightly on the last page. The page where the wolf and rabbit became family. Time for bed, he said when the book closed. Ara shook her head and pointed to Mira. What does she want? Mira asked. You to come with us. The 3 of them walked upstairs together. Ara held both their hands. In the bedroom, Ara brushed her teeth while Junseo laid out pajamas. The routine was familiar and careful, a father who'd learned to be mother too. Will you stay until I fall asleep? Ara asked Mira. Of course. Junseo tucked the blankets around his daughter's small body. He kissed her forehead and whispered something in Korean. "What did you say?" Mira asked. "Sweet dreams, little bird." Ara's eyes were already heavy. She reached for Mira's hand and held it against her cheek. "Sing," she whispered. Mira didn't know any lullabies, so she hummed the first melody that came to mind, something her grandmother used to sing when Mira was small. Junseo sat in the chair by the window. His eyes were fixed on his daughter's face. The humming worked. Ara's breathing deepened and her grip on Mira's hand relaxed. "She looks like her mother when she sleeps," Junseo said quietly. "Tell me about her." Jinnae. "She was a music teacher, piano and voice. She had the most beautiful laugh." "How did you meet?" "She was giving Ara's cousin piano lessons. I went to pick him up one day and heard her playing Chopin. I stood outside the door for 20 minutes just listening." "What happened then?" "I asked if she gave lessons to adults. She said she only taught children and people with good hearts." "So, you convinced her you had a good heart?" "She convinced me I could have one." The pain in his voice was raw and fresh. Grief had no expiration date. "When did she die?" 8 months ago, March 15th, 10:37 p.m. The precision told Mira everything. He'd memorized the exact moment his world ended. Ara was in the car? Back seat. The car seat Jinnae insisted on saved her life. Did she see what happened? "She saw her mother die." His voice was barely audible. That's when she stopped talking. Ara stirred in her sleep and murmured something in Korean. What did she say? "Ioma." It means mother. Even in dreams, the little girl searched for what she'd lost. "You can't protect her from everything," Mira said gently. "I can try. Trying and succeeding are different things. Are you saying I should give up?" "I'm saying you should live." He was quiet for a long time. Rain began pattering against the windows. "This house used to have music," he said finally. Jinnae would play piano after dinner. Ara would sing along. The whole place felt alive. "What does it feel like now?" "Like a museum. Beautiful and dead. So, bring the music back." "It's not that simple. Most things aren't simple." "That doesn't make them impossible." Something shifted in his expression, hope and fear warring behind his eyes. "She used to laugh at my singing," he said. "Said I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket." "Maybe Ara inherited her mother's musical ability instead of yours. Maybe." He stood up and walked to the window. Security lights swept the grounds in regular patterns. "I failed them both," he said. "I let Jinnae drive alone that night. I let Ara see her mother die. I've been failing them for 8 months. You didn't fail anyone. You loved them. Love wasn't enough. Love is never enough by itself. But it's the foundation everything else builds on. What else is there? Trust, forgiveness, the courage to try again. I don't know how to try again. Start small. Sing to your daughter. She'll laugh at me. Good. She should laugh more." He turned from the window and looked at Mira directly, really looked at her for the first time. "Why are you helping us?" "I don't know. Maybe because you need help. Maybe because she reminds me of myself at that age." "What happened when you were 7? "My parents died in a car accident. I went to live with my grandmother. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. But I remember what it felt like to be that scared and alone. Is that why you became a caregiver? Maybe. Or maybe I just like feeding people." His smile was small but real. "She likes you. I like her too. And me?" The question surprised them both. It hung in the air between them like a bridge. Neither was sure they should cross. "I'm still figuring that out," Mira said. "Fair enough." He moved toward the door and stopped. "Thank you for staying. Thank you for letting me choose. Even though I didn't really give you a choice?" "Even though." After he left, Mira sat with Ara for another hour. The little girl slept peacefully, one hand still reaching toward where her mother should be. Outside, the security teams made their quiet rounds, men with guns protecting a little girl's dreams. The 4th day brought news. Minho answered his phone during breakfast, and his expression darkened. "Problem?" Junseo asked. "Delivery for Miss Han." "What kind of delivery?" "Flowers." Junseo's jaw tightened. No one should know Mira was here. No one should have the address. The flower arrangement was beautiful. White lilies and baby's breath in an expensive crystal vase. The card was addressed to Mira in elegant script. "Who sent them?" she asked. Minho lifted one of the lilies carefully. A small photograph was tucked beneath a petal. Her grandmother sitting in the dialysis clinic. A red circle was drawn around the timestamp. 2 p.m. today. Mira's hands shook. They have her. They're watching her, Juncio said. There's a difference. Is there? Yes, but not a big one. Minho was already on his radio coordinating teams. Within minutes, 3 cars left the compound heading toward the city. I'm going with them, Mira said. No, she's my grandmother, and you're my responsibility. I didn't ask to be your responsibility. You became my responsibility the moment you saved. Ara. The words hit like a slap. Mira felt anger surge in her chest. So this is my fault? This is nobody's fault. It's just the situation we're in. A situation you created by being who you are. Yes, his honesty disarmed her anger but fed her fear. What if something happens to her? Nothing will happen to her. You can't promise that. I can, and I do. 40 minutes later, Minho's team arrived at the dialysis clinic. They found Mira's grandmother in her usual chair, hooked to the machine, reading a magazine. She was safe, but the van watching from the parking lot was gone. They moved her here without asking me, Mira said when she got the news. The clinic has better security, Juncio said. Private room, armed guards. You can't just relocate people's lives. I can when their lives are in danger. From who? These iron wolves? From me. From what I do. From what I represent. What do you represent? Power without accountability. Money without conscience. Everything decent people should fear. His self-hatred was sharp and complete. He'd spent months punishing himself for his wife's death. Is that what Jin'ei thought? That you were someone to fear? Jin'ei thought I could be better than I was. Was she right? I don't know. Maybe you should find out. That evening brought a recorded message. It played from hidden speakers throughout the house as they sat down to dinner, a child's lullaby. The same melody Ara hummed when she was scared, but this version was electronic and distorted. It echoed from every room simultaneously. Ara dropped her fork and covered her ears. Tears streamed down her cheeks. The message was clear. They could reach into the house any time they wanted. They could corrupt even the music that comforted a frightened little girl. The lullaby played for exactly 60 seconds and then cut off. The silence afterward was deafening. Juncio gathered Ara into his arms. His composure finally cracked completely. His hands shook as he held his daughter. I'm sorry, he whispered to her. I'm so sorry, little bird. Mira felt her heart break for both of them. A father who'd built a fortress but couldn't keep the monsters out. A little girl who just wanted her mother back. That night, none of them slept well. Emergency lights stayed on. Guards walked the halls every 15 minutes. Every small sound made them all jump. At 3 a.m., Mira found Juncio on the balcony outside his bedroom. He stood in the rain without an umbrella. Water dripped from his hair and clothes. You'll catch pneumonia, she said. Good. Ara needs you healthy. Ara needs me gone. That's not true, isn't it? They want me dead. As long as I'm alive, she's a target. If you die, she becomes an orphan. Is that better? Maybe. Mira stepped into the rain beside him. The cold water soaked through her pajamas instantly. Tell me about the night Jin'ei died. Why? Because you need to say it out loud. His silence stretched for a long time. Finally, the words came in broken pieces. She was driving home from Ara's piano lesson. It was raining, just like tonight. I was supposed to pick them up, but I had a meeting that ran late. What kind of meeting? The kind that gets people killed. So, you blame yourself for choosing work over family. I blame myself for being selfish. Were you? Selfish? Yes. Then learn from it. Be better. It's too late to be better. It's too late for Jin'ei. It's not too late for Ara. He turned to look at her. Water ran down his face. She couldn't tell if it was rain or tears. They cut the brake lines while she was in the music school, he said. She never knew what was coming. One moment she was driving home to us, the next moment she was dying. What happened to the people who killed her? They disappeared. All of them? All but one. Park Jin-tae? Park Jin-tae. So this is about revenge? This is about justice. Is there a difference? Not to me. They stood together in the rain for another hour, not talking, just sharing the weight of grief and fear. Finally, Mira took his hand and led him back inside. You're freezing, she said. I don't feel cold anymore. That's shock, or hypothermia, or emotional numbness. She found towels in his bathroom and dried his hair while he sat on the edge of the bed. He submitted to her care without protest, like a man too tired to maintain his armor. Better? She asked. Better. Now sleep. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see the accident. Jinay's car flipping over and over, Ara screaming in the back seat. Were you there? I got there 30 seconds after it happened. The car was upside down in a ditch. Steam rising from the engine. Ara was hanging from her car seat, still screaming. You saved her. I was supposed to save both of them. You can't save everyone. I couldn't save anyone. His despair was absolute. 8 months of guilt had carved him hollow. Ara is alive because of you, Mira said firmly. Your wife is dead because of evil men. Those are 2 separate facts. Are they? Yes. And the first fact is more important than the second. She pulled a blanket over his shoulders and sat beside him on the bed. What are you doing? He asked. Making sure you don't do anything stupid. Like what? Like deciding Ara would be better off without you. He was quiet for a long time. How did you know? Because that's what trauma does. It makes us think we're the problem instead of the solution. What if we're both? Then we work on being more solution and less problem. Is that what you did? After your parents died? Eventually. It took years, and I had help. Your grandmother? My grandmother. Some good teachers. A therapist who didn't give up on me. What did they teach you? That surviving isn't the same as living. That healing is possible, but it takes time. That love doesn't end just because someone dies. I don't know how to live without her. You don't have to live without her. You have to live with her memory instead of her presence. How? By honoring what she loved. Music, laughter. Ara, she loved you too. I know. She would have wanted you to be happy. I know that too. Then why is it so hard? Because grief is the price we pay for love. The deeper the love, the higher the price. He leaned against her shoulder. For a moment, he felt smaller and younger. Not a feared man, but a broken husband and father. I miss her so much, he whispered. Tell me about a happy memory. Which one? Anyone. Last Christmas. We all made sugar cookies together. Jinay tried to teach Ara the Korean recipe her mother used. Flour got everywhere. The kitchen looked like a bakery exploded. What happened to the cookies? They were terrible. Burnt on the bottom, raw in the middle. We ate them anyway, and pretended they were delicious. And Ara? Ara laughed, until she got hiccups. Jinay laughed at Ara's hiccups. I laughed at both of them. That's a good memory. Yes. Hold on to it. When the grief gets too heavy, remember the cookies. What if I forget her voice? You won't. Love doesn't let us forget the important things. Dawn was breaking when he finally fell asleep. Mira covered him with another blanket and went to check on Ara. The little girl was awake, sitting by her window and drawing. This picture showed 4 figures holding hands. A man, a woman, a child, and someone with long dark hair. Is that your mother? Mira pointed to the woman figure. Ara nodded. She looks happy. Ara smiled and added a yellow sun to the sky above the 4 figures. Outside, the rain was finally stopping. Clouds were breaking apart to reveal patches of blue sky. For the first time since the storm began, the future looked possible. But, in the distance, thunder rumbled again. The 5th day started with silence. No rain, no wind, no distant thunder. Just an unnatural quiet that made everyone nervous. Min-ho found Jun-seo in his study, staring at security monitors. Too quiet, Min-ho said. I know. Want me to increase patrols? Already done. 12 screens showed different angles of the compound. Gardens, gates, perimeter roads. Nothing moved except the security cameras sweeping back and forth. It feels like waiting for an exam result, Mira said from the doorway. More like waiting for a funeral, Jun-seo said. She brought him coffee and stood behind his chair. On the screens, guards walked careful routes between trees and buildings. How long can this last? She asked. Until one of us breaks. Who breaks first usually wins or loses. Depends on how they break. His phone buzzed. Min-ho answered, and his face went dark. Your grandmother's building, he said to Mira. There was a break-in last night. Mira's coffee cup slipped from her hands. Is she hurt? She wasn't there, but someone went through her apartment. Looking for what? Information about you. Photos, documents, anything that shows your routines. Did they find anything? Everything they needed. The violation felt personal and complete. These men had touched her grandmother's things, looked through private photos, learned the shape of Mira's life from childhood to now. I want to see the apartment, she said. Absolutely not. It's my home. It was your home. Now it's a crime scene. Junseo's voice was final. But Mira saw fear behind the authority. You're scared too, she said. Yes. Good. Scared people make better decisions, or worse ones. By afternoon, the quiet started feeling oppressive. Ara drew pictures but kept looking toward the windows. Madame Seo cleaned rooms that were already clean. Even the guards seemed restless. We need to go outside, Mira told Junseo. Bad idea. Ara needs fresh air, sunlight. Normal child things. There's nothing normal about our situation. Then we create normal moments inside abnormal situations. He considered this. The garden courtyard. 20 minutes. Full security. The courtyard was surrounded by high walls and overlooked by guard positions. Safe, but not free. Ara ran to a swing set in the corner. Push me, she called to Mira. It was the most words she'd spoken in days. Mira felt hope flutter in her chest. Higher, Ara laughed as the swing rose. Junseo watched from a covered area. His eyes constantly moved between his daughter and the walls around them. She sounds like Jin-ae when she laughs, he said. That's good, isn't it? Yes, and terrifying. Why terrifying? Because hope makes you vulnerable, and vulnerable gets you killed. A bird landed on the swing set's crossbar. Ara stopped laughing and pointed. Pretty, she said. The bird was small and brown with bright eyes. It chirped once and flew away. Your mother loved birds, Junseo told his daughter. I remember, Ara said softly. It was the longest sentence she'd spoken since her mother died. That evening brought visitors. 3 black cars pulled through the main gate. Men in expensive suits stepped out and waited. Who are they? Mira asked. My board of directors. You're what? I run legitimate businesses too. Import, export, construction. How legitimate? Legitimate enough. The meeting lasted 2 hours. Mira heard raised voices through the study door. When the men left, Junseo looked exhausted. Problems? She asked. They want me to end this quickly. How? By giving Park what he wants, which is my territory, my businesses, my life. Are you considering it? Every minute of every day. But running makes it worse for Ara. He'd hunt us forever. So you fight. So I fight. What do you need me to do? The question surprised him. Nothing. Stay safe. Let me handle this. What if I don't want to be handled? Then you're going to be disappointed. I'm already disappointed. In what? In your assumption that I'm helpless. Something shifted in his expression. You're not helpless, but you're not a soldier either. No, but I'm invested now. Invested how? Ara calls me by name. She laughs when I push her swing. She draws pictures with me in them. That doesn't make you family, doesn't it? He had no answer for that. The 6th day brought rain again. Not the violent storm of the first night, but steady, persistent drizzle that made everything grey. Ara stayed close to Mira all morning. She'd regressed slightly since the lullaby incident. Fewer words, more humming, constant need for physical contact. Bad dreams? Mira asked. Ara nodded and showed her a drawing. This one was all black crayon, except for 2 small figures in the corner. Where are the other people? Gone, Ara whispered. Not gone, hidden. Same thing. No, hidden people can come back. Gone people can't. Ara considered this. She picked up a yellow crayon and added a small sun to the black sky. Better? Mira asked. Maybe. In the afternoon, Junseo taught Ara to play chess. She was too young for the strategy, but she liked the horses and castles. This one's a knight, he explained. He protects the important pieces. Like you? Like me. And this one's the queen. She's the most powerful piece on the board. He glanced at Mira. Like some women. Where's the little girl piece? Ara asked. There isn't one. Why not? Because little girls are too precious to put in danger. But I am in danger. Her words silenced the room. Truth from a 7-year-old mouth. Yes, Junseo said finally, but not for much longer. That night, Mira found him cleaning a gun in his study. The weapon was black and efficient looking. He handled it with familiar ease. Planning something? She asked. Preparing for something. What's the difference? Planning means you choose the time and place. Preparing means you're ready when someone else chooses. Which is this? Both. He reassembled the gun in smooth, practiced motions, muscle memory from a younger, more violent life. Will you teach me? Mira asked. Teach you what? How to use that? No. Why not? Because you're not a killer. How do you know? Because killers don't save children in floods. They don't sing lullabies to scared little girls. They don't make men remember they have hearts. Maybe I could be both. No. Trust me on this. I trust you. But I don't trust the situation we're in. He was quiet for a long time. If something happens to me, nothing will happen to you. If something happens to me, Minho will get you and Ara out safely. He has instructions. Where would we go? Somewhere Park can't find you. What about you? I'll be dead. That's the whole point. The casual way he said it broke something inside her chest. Don't talk like that. Like what? Like you're already gone? I might be. You need to be prepared for that possibility. I need you to be prepared to live. Why? Because Ara needs her father. Because Jin'e would want you to survive. Because She stopped before the words escaped. Because you what? Because I care about you. The admission hung between them like a bridge neither expected to build. You shouldn't, he said finally. Too late. It's not too late. You can still walk away from this. Can I? Yes. Then why aren't you letting me? Because I'm selfish. Because I want you to stay. Because you make Ara smile, and that makes me remember what happiness feels like. Then stop planning your funeral and start planning our future. What future? The one where we all survive this. The one where Ara grows up safe. The one where you learn to sing lullabies that don't sound like wounded animals. His smile was small but real. My singing is that bad? Worse. But practice helps. Will you teach me? If you promise to stay alive long enough to learn. I can't promise that. Then promise to try. I promised to try. It wasn't enough. But it was something. The 7th day brought news that changed everything. Minho rushed into the breakfast room with his phone pressed to his ear. They found Park's location, he said to Junseo. Where? Warehouse district. Near the river. How many men? 12. Maybe 15. Weapons? Enough to level city blocks. Junseo's expression hardened into something Mira had never seen. Not a father or a businessman, but something older and more dangerous. Mobilize everyone, he said. Already done. When do we move? 1 hour. Mira felt the world shift beneath her feet. You're leaving? I'm ending this. What about Ara? Ara stays here with you, full security. If we don't come back, you're coming back. If we don't come back, Minho's team will extract you both. Where will you go? Somewhere safe. Somewhere far away. I don't want somewhere safe. I want you safe. That's not your choice, isn't it? He kissed Ara's forehead and whispered something in Korean. The little girl grabbed his hand. Don't go, Appa. I have to, little bird. Why? So you can be safe. I want us to be safe together. Me too. He picked her up and held her tight. When he put her down, his eyes were wet. Take care of each other, he said to Mira. Take care of yourself. I'll try. He walked toward the door and stopped. Mira, yes? If something happens, nothing will happen. If something happens, tell Ara I loved her mother more than life. And I loved both of them more than honor. Tell her yourself when you get back. When I get back. But his voice carried no conviction. After he left, the house felt hollow and waiting. Staff moved through their duties, but everyone listened for gunfire in the distance. Ara drew pictures of storms and sunshine. Black clouds with bright suns hiding behind them. He'll come back, Mira told her. Promise? I promise he'll try. What if trying isn't enough? Then we'll be enough for each other. Ara considered this and added another figure to her drawing. Someone with long dark hair standing between the storm and the sun. At 3 in the afternoon, Minho's radio crackled with gunfire, distant pops that could have been firecrackers or death. By evening, there was only silence. And in that silence, Something began moving toward the house. The silence lasted until midnight. Then the perimeter alarm started screaming. Mira jolted awake in the guest room. Red emergency lights bathed the hallway. Ara stood in her doorway wearing princess pajamas and terror. "What's happening?" the little girl whispered. "I don't know." "Come here." Ara ran into Mira's arms as steel shutters slammed down over every window. The house sealed itself like a tomb. Minho's voice crackled through the intercom. "Safe room. Now." They ran barefoot through corridors lit by emergency strobes. Guards moved past them toward defensive positions. No one looked optimistic. The safe room door hissed shut behind them. Ara curled against Mira's side and began humming her frightened tune. "Status report," Minho's voice said through the speaker. "Multiple breach points," someone answered. "East and west perimeters compromised." "How many?" "Unknown. They're jamming our cameras." Mira felt her stomach drop. "Where's Junseo?" "Static," answered her. Then Minho's voice, tight with control. "Communications with the primary team were lost at 2100 hours. Lost. Not delayed or interrupted. Lost." "Are they dead?" Mira asked. "Unknown." "That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have." Ara pressed closer to Mira's side. "Is Appa coming home?" "Yes," Mira said, because hope was all they had left. The lights went out. Emergency power kicked in with a mechanical hum. Then that died too. Perfect darkness. Perfect silence. "Backup generator failure," Minho's voice said. "All teams to manual positions." A child's lullaby began playing through speakers they couldn't see. The same distorted melody from before, but this time it was inside the safe room with them. Ara covered her ears and whimpered. "Turn it off," Mira shouted. "I can't. It's coming from outside our system." The music stopped abruptly. In the silence that followed, they heard footsteps in the corridor outside. Slow, patient, getting closer. Someone knocked on the safe room door. 3 gentle taps. "Open up, little bird," a voice called softly. "Uncle Park wants to meet you." Ara went rigid with terror. Mira held her tighter. "Go away," Ara whispered. "I can't do that, sweetheart. Your father owes me a debt. You're going to help me collect." The knocking started again. "Harder this time. This door won't hold forever," the voice said. "But I'm patient. We have all night." Mira felt rage build in her chest. Clean and focused and absolute. "The ventilation shaft," she whispered to Ara. "Can you fit through it?" Ara nodded. The shaft opening was 3 feet above the floor. Mira lifted Ara up and helped her crawl inside. "Follow the airflow," she whispered. "Find Minho. Tell him where they are." "What about you?" "I'm going to keep them busy. I don't want to leave you. I don't want you to leave me either. But sometimes we do things we don't want to do." "Like Appa?" "Like Appa." Ara crawled into the darkness. Her small body disappeared around the first turn. Mira was alone. The knocking stopped. Power tools whined to life outside the door. She found the emergency phone and dialed Minho's direct line. "Where are you?" His voice was tight. "Safe room. They're cutting through the door. Ara is in the vents heading your way." "What about you?" "I'm going to slow them down. Don't do anything stupid." "Too late for that." She hung up and waited. The door began glowing orange around the edges. Sparks fell like stars. The smell of burning metal filled the air. A hole appeared the size of a dinner plate, then bigger. A man's face peered through, scarred cheek, gold teeth, eyes that had seen too much violence. "Hello, beautiful," he said. "Hello, ugly," she said back. His laugh was genuinely delighted. "I like you already." "I can't say the same." The hole grew larger. Soon it would be big enough for a person. "Your boyfriend is dead," the man said. "Thought you should know. You're lying." "Am I? How many gunshots did you hear tonight? How many sirens?" "Too few." "That was the problem. He put up a good fight," the man continued. "Took 5 of my boys with him, but numbers don't lie. Neither do I. And I don't believe you. Believe what you want. Won't change the facts." The cutting stopped. The hole was person-sized now. The man squeezed through feet first. He was smaller than she expected, older, but his movements were smooth and confident. "Park Jin-tae," he said, extending his hand like they were meeting at a dinner party. "Go to hell," she said. "Probably will, but not tonight." 2 more men followed him through the hole. One carried rope, the other carried a syringe. "We can do this easy or hard," Park said. "Your choice." "Hard, please. I was hoping you'd say that." Mira grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall. She triggered it directly into Park's face. White foam exploded everywhere. Park stumbled backward, cursing in Korean. Mira swung the heavy cylinder at the man with the rope. It connected with his shoulder, and he dropped. The third man lunged at her. She dodged and he crashed into the wall. But there were too many of them. Hands grabbed her arms. The syringe jabbed into her neck. Darkness rushed in from the edges of her vision. "Sweet dreams," Park said. She woke up in a warehouse that smelled like fish and motor oil. Her hands were tied behind a metal chair. Her head pounded from whatever they'd injected. Park sat across from her at a card table. He was eating an apple with a knife, cutting precise slices. "Feeling better?" he asked. "Where's Ara?" "Safe, for now." "Where?" "Close by. Don't worry, you'll see her soon." The warehouse was huge and mostly empty. Concrete floors, steel rafters, windows too high to reach. Half a dozen men positioned around the exits. "What do you want?" Mira asked. "Justice." "For what?" "Kang Jun-seo killed my brother 3 years ago, shot him in the head outside a nightclub. Your brother was probably trying to kill him first." "Probably. That's how the business works. So why the revenge?" "You said it yourself, that's the business." Park's smile was thin and cold. "Because he didn't just kill my brother. He humiliated him first, made him beg, made him crawl. How do you know?" "I was there. And you didn't help your brother?" "I was ordered not to interfere. This was between them." "So you've been planning revenge for 3 years?" "Patience is a virtue. So is letting go." "I don't let go. Ever." A door opened across the warehouse. 2 men dragged someone between them. Mira's heart stopped. Jun-seo was alive but barely, blood on his face, torn clothing, moving like every step caused pain, but alive. "Miss me?" Park called to him. Jun-seo's eyes found Mira across the warehouse. Relief and fury warred in his expression. "You said you'd leave her out of this," he said. "I lied. Our business is between us." "Not anymore. You involved civilians when you let her into your house. Into your life. She saved my daughter, and I'm grateful. That's why she gets to watch you die instead of dying herself." Jun-seo was forced into a chair 20 feet from Mira. His hands were tied, but his eyes never left hers. "I'm sorry," he said. "For what?" "For getting you into this. I got myself into this." "No. I got you into this by being selfish. By wanting you to stay." "I wanted to stay. Why?" "Because you needed me. Because Ara needed me. And now? Now I need you." Something shifted in his expression. Hope fighting with despair. "This is very touching," Park said. "But we have business to finish." He stood up and pulled a gun from his jacket. "Simple and black and deadly. 3 years ago, you made my brother beg for his life," Park said to Jun-seo. "Tonight, I return the favor." "I'll beg," Jun-seo said. "Just let them go." "Them?" "Mira and Ara. The woman maybe, but your daughter stays with me." "Why?" "Insurance. To make sure your people don't come looking for revenge. She's 7 years old. Perfect age to learn the family business." Rage flashed across Jun-seo's face. "You touch her and You'll what? You're tied to a chair. Your men are dead. Your house is burning. My house is not burning. Check the news." Park tossed him a phone. The screen showed helicopter footage of a mansion engulfed in flames. Jun-seo's breath caught. "Ara? Safe, like I said. I had her moved before we torched the place. Where is she?" "Somewhere you'll never find her." But Park was lying. Mira could see it in his eyes. "She got away," Mira said. "Didn't she?" Park's smile faltered. "Temporarily. She's with Min-ho." "Your plan failed. My plan is flexible. Your plan is falling apart." "Is it?" Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Park's men shifted nervously. They hadn't expected sirens. "Sounds like the cavalry," Mira said. "Sounds like more people to kill," Park said. But he was sweating now. The confident mask was slipping. "Tell me," Mira said to Jun-seo, "what really happened to his brother?" "He was selling drugs to children, outside elementary schools. And I told him to stop." "Did he?" "No." "So, you killed him?" "Yes." "Did you make him beg?" Yes. Why? Because he showed those children photos of what would happen if they didn't buy from him. Photos of other children who'd refused. Mira turned to Park. Your brother was a monster. My brother was family. Family doesn't excuse evil, doesn't it? No. It makes it worse. The sirens were loud now. Very close. Park raised his gun and pointed it at Junseo's head. Time's up, he said. Wait, Mira said. For what? I have something you want more than revenge. What's that? Information about his business, bank accounts, safe houses. Everything. Park lowered the gun slightly. You're bluffing. Am I? You've known him for a week. A week where I lived in his house. Heard his phone calls, watched his routines. She's lying, Junseo said quickly. But Park was interested now. Greed warred with hatred in his eyes. What kind of information? He asked. The kind that makes you rich instead of just satisfied. I can be both. Not if you kill him. Dead men don't have access codes. I can torture the codes out of him. Can you? How long did it take you to catch him tonight? 3 years of planning and you needed a little girl as bait. Your point? My point is that he's smarter than you, stronger than you. The only reason you have him now is because he chose to protect people he loves. So, imagine what he's like when he has nothing left to lose. Park considered this. The gun wavered in his hand. $10 million, Mira said, in untraceable accounts. How do you know about the accounts? Because I helped him move the money. Junseo stared at her. She was improvising completely, but her voice carried conviction. Prove it, Park said. Untie my hands. Give me a phone. I'll transfer 1 million right now. And then we make a deal. His life for the rest of the money. What about your life? What about it? You think I'm letting you go? I think you're smarter than your brother was. Meaning? Meaning you know when to take the money and run. Park laughed. You're good. Very good. I'm desperate. Desperate people are creative. Or stupid. Sometimes both. The sirens had stopped, which meant police were outside, which meant Park was running out of time. 1 million, he said. Transfer it now. Mira's hands were untied. She took the phone with steady fingers. What's the account number? She asked Junseo. He rattled off 16 digits. She had no idea if they were real. Routing number. More numbers. She accessed a banking app and hoped the login credentials she guessed would work. They did. The account showed a balance of $12 million. Park's eyes went wide. Transfer 1 million to this account. He gave her different numbers. She initiated the transfer. It would take 30 seconds to process. 20 seconds, 10 seconds, 5. The warehouse lights went out. Gunfire erupted from 3 directions. Muzzle flashes lit the darkness like deadly lightning. Mira rolled off her chair and crawled toward where Junseo had been sitting. This way, his voice said in the darkness. Their hands found each other. He pulled her behind a concrete pillar as bullets sparked off metal around them. Minho? She asked. Minho? How? Ara led them here. Is she safe? She's safe. The gunfire lasted 90 seconds. Then silence. Emergency lighting flickered on. Bodies lay scattered across the warehouse floor. Park was not among them. Where is he? Mira asked. Gone, Minho said, emerging from the shadows. But not far. Ara. Outside, with the medical team. She's fine. Junseo tried to stand and stumbled. Blood soaked through his shirt from a wound below his ribs. Hospital, Minho said. Home first, Junseo said. I need to see her. You need medical attention. I need to see my daughter. They compromised. Paramedics treated his wound in the back of an ambulance while Ara sat on his lap. I was brave, Appa, she said. You were very brave, little bird. I remembered what you taught me, about being smart and careful. What else did you remember? That family protects family. She looked at Mira when she said it. The message was clear. 2 hours later, they were back at the compound. The main house was damaged, but not destroyed. Park's men had set fires, but Minho's team had contained them quickly. He'll try again, Minho said. Not tonight, Junseo said. Tonight he's running. And tomorrow? Tomorrow we finish this properly. How? By being smarter than him, by working together. He looked at Mira when he said it. Is that what we're doing? She asked. Working together? If you'll have us. Both of you? All three of us? Ara smiled and took both their hands. 3 weeks later, Park Jin-tae was arrested at a border crossing. His accounts were frozen, his organization was dismantled. He would spend the rest of his life in prison. The threat was over. The house filled with music again. Ara took piano lessons from a teacher who came twice a week. She sang Korean lullabies her mother had taught her. Jun Seo learned to sing along, badly, but with enthusiasm. Mira moved her grandmother into a guest wing. The old woman loved the gardens and the staff, who treated her like visiting royalty. "So," Jun Seo said one evening as they watched Ara play in the courtyard, "so what? What happens now? Now we figure out what normal looks like. What if we don't want normal? Then we figure out what extraordinary looks like. And if that doesn't work, then we figure out what love looks like." He turned to face her. "I think I know what love looks like." "What?" "It looks like courage in a flood. Like singing to frightened children. Like staying when leaving would be safer. That's what love does, not what it looks like." "What does it look like?" She kissed him then. "Soft and careful and certain. It looks like home," she said. 6 months later, Ara drew a new picture. 5 figures holding hands under a bright sun. A man, a woman, a little girl, an old woman, and a stern-looking man with kind eyes. "Who's that?" Mira asked, pointing to the 5th figure. "Uncle Min-ho," Ara said. "He's family too." "What makes someone family?" "Love, and staying, and protecting each other." "That's right. Are you going to marry Appa? Do you want me to?" "Yes." "Then you can be my real mom." "I'm already your real mom, little bird. Marriage is just paperwork." "But paperwork makes things official." "Who taught you about paperwork?" "Uncle Min-ho. He says official things are harder to break." That evening, Jun-seo proposed with his grandmother's ring and a promise to sing better lullabies. Mira said yes and kept her own promise to stay. They were married in the garden courtyard, surrounded by family both chosen and born. Ara walked Mira down the aisle. Min-ho stood as best man. Madame Seo cried into her handkerchief. The house that had been a fortress became a home, and in that home, 3 people who had survived the storm learned to dance in the sunshine. The last drawing Ara made that year showed a house full of light, with people laughing inside. At the bottom, in careful letters, she wrote, "My family." They framed it and hung it in the front hallway where everyone could see, because some truths are too important to hide.